Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles, the great millstone that rule well. And peace and salutation to the elect of Israel. To you I say Shalom. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying to the flock of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And this is the article from February 28th, and it says, Americans are at a higher risk of Russian cyber attacks after the Ukraine invasion. What you should do right now. And I brought this up because we're in a very, very prophetic and spiritual time, man. All right. We understand that, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the true chosen people of the Most High. And the Most High is getting ready to redeem his chosen people, the elect of his chosen people, out of the land of Egypt, also known as Babylon, also known as America. All right. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 15, and I'm going to start at verse 7. Therefore saith the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit. Neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. Alright? It's like when Cain slew Abel, the Lord said, ask Cain, what have you done to your brother? Because his blood is crying out to me. All right, the blood of the saints, the blood of the Israelites that died, are still complaining and crying out to the Lord, asking for vengeance. Not only that, but the ones that are alive, Lord willing, part of that number, are still crying out to the Lord, asking us for Him to forgive us and deliver us from our enemies, man. The souls of the just complain continually, man, and that's the spirit you got to be in. Now more so than ever, man. All right, because we understand that we are at the end, and it's high time that we got out of this place, man. And I want to do this lesson about the second to last plague that touched Egypt. All right, the second to last plague that touched Egypt was darkness. All right, and it's spiritual about what's going on now in the so-called war in Ukraine and all these current events, that because darkness is coming to America too. All right, and I'm gonna prove that. Verse 9, and therefore saith the Lord, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. All right, because the law states that if you shed man's blood has to be shed. All right, so that's how you receive the innocent blood from among them. The blood that's the person that spilt the blood, innocent blood, has to get their blood spilt. All right. Verse 2nd Ezra 15 and 10. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. And we understand that Egypt is America, right? Egypt is America, the house of bondage, man. All right, and this is written after the original Exodus. All right, so the Israelites were in captivity in Egypt right now, man, when this was written. So what is this talking about? This is talking about a future prophecy about the Israelites being delivered from the new Egypt, right? The new house of bondage, which is America. 2nd Ezra 15 and 10. Behold, my people, the Israelites, is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, which proves that this was written after the original Egypt, after the original Exodus of Egypt. He's going to smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. When it says the plague, it's talking about the missiles specifically. But in verse 11 it says, smite Egypt with plagues, plural, as before. So the same plagues that Egypt was smitten with will be will be seen in America before the next Exodus, man. The last Exodus, I should say. All right. Now let's go back to this article from USA Today. All right. Now, there's a couple of key points I want to bring out about this article. It says security professionals are urging Americans to take immediate steps to protect themselves from a higher risk of Russian cyber attacks after the invasion of the Ukraine. So now they're saying because the U.S. took sides with Ukraine, and you can see that all over now. You see these celebrities posting stand with Ukraine, so on and so forth. Social media influencers putting blue and yellow icons all over their shit, whatever. So you see the propaganda is spreading from this, right? They're painting Russia as the bad guys and Ukraine as the innocent people, all right? Even though it's Edomite crime and none of them are innocent. But that's besides the point, all right? Continue on this article. We are seeing more and more nation-state activity due to the conflict in Ukraine, said Ryan Wright, a professor specializing in cybersecurity at the University of Virginia. With U.S. sanctions setting in, and this is another reason why they're painting this idea that Russia is going to pay the U.S. back with cyber attacks. Right? They're saying that because the U.S. put sanctions on the Russian currency, which is the Russian ruble, right, which collapsed the currency. Now Russian ruble is one Russian ruble is worth less than a penny of American money, right? The country of Russia had to close their stock market to prevent people from selling their stocks and completely collapsing the economy. So they just closed it, so people aren't allowed to buy or sell right now. The stocks, that is. All right. With U.S. sanctions setting in, it's only a matter of time until the U.S. is targeted more directly. This may mean, this is the point, attacks on your personal device through ransomware, but also attacks on the infrastructure, such as your internet access or even the power grid. All right, if there's an attack, right? There's a so-called cyber attack on the internet, right? Where they could prevent major servers, like servers that host banks and social medias and whatever like that. If they could put ransomware on that, that alone will help cripple the U.S. because most of the money is ran via the internet electronically. All right, would it be credit and debit cards, bank account wiring back and forth, cryptocurrency? A lot of that money is tied up digitally. But they said even the power grid, if they knock the power grid down with a cyber attack, it's game over. All right, and I said this time and time again, it's game over. But it'll be spiritual that if they do knock the lights out in America, because Egypt had its lights knocked out before the final plague. All right, Egypt's final plague was death of the firstborn, cattle and man. All right. America's final plague is going to be nuclear missiles, which is death. So the second and last plague is darkness. All right, let's go to Exodus chapter 10. I'm going to start at verse 21. And the Lord said unto Moses, stretch out thine hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. All right, so this plague of darkness was so dark you could feel the darkness. That's extremely dark. When you're able to feel darkness, that's you can't even imagine how dark that is. I mean, it's hard to fathom, but that's the power of the Lord, man. All right, verse 22. And Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. They saw not one another, neither rose any from his place for 3 days. But all the children of Israel had light in their dwelling. All right, that goes hand in hand with Slakia. That goes hand in hand with my servant shall eat, but you shall starve, man. All right, let me actually jump to that real quick. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 65. And 13, therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, my servant shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Behold, my servant shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. Right? That's basically saying the servants of the Lord are going to be all right, even though everybody else is going through it, howling for vexation of spirit. All right, that's a sorrowful cry, man. When your spirit is so vexed that you're howling, man, Nobody wants to go through that, man. All right, but the majority of the people will, except for the servants of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Well, I brought that up because Exodus 10 and 23 says that it was so dark that nobody left their house. Nobody, you know, basically nobody went anywhere. They were locked inside. They weren't locked, but it was so dark they were afraid to go anywhere, man. But the children of Israel were okay. All right, verse 24, Exodus 10 and 24. And Pharaoh called unto Moses and said, Go ye, serve the Lord. Only let your flocks and your herds be stayed. Let your little ones also go with you. Pharaoh basically said, all right, go ahead. You're free. Just keep your cattle and flocks behind. You can even take your children. All right. Well, Moses, Slakia, and Exodus 10 and 25. And Moses said, Thou must give us also sacrifices and burnt offerings, and we may sacrifice unto the Lord Yahweh our power. Our cattle also shall go with us. There shall not a hoof be left behind. For therefore we must take to serve the Lord Yahweh our power. And we know not with what we must serve the Lord Yahweh until we come thither. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he will not let them go. All right. So the thick darkness for 3 days wasn't enough to let the Egyptians go. All right. So when the lights get knocked out of America, just know that's not enough to for America to be destroyed. All right. America has to be utterly destroyed, man. All right. Let me jump to Jeremiah 30. I'm gonna start at verse 5. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. All right. Basically saying it's gonna be so bad. You're gonna see men crying so bad like they're like a woman water break, or they're going through labor pains. That's how bad men are going to be crying, man. All right. If men are crying that bad, how much worse are women? All right. Verse 7, Jeremiah 30 and 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. All right. Again, when the time of trouble comes to America, the time of Jacob's trouble comes. Jacob and Israel are going to be okay, right? Or the servants of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, which are of the remnant of Jacob and Slakia of Israel, are going to be okay, man. But 2/3 are going to go through it, man. 2/3 are going to go through pains, man. Pain. All right. But speaking as a man, I see Slakia. I could see the lights going out in Babylon causing Jacob's trouble, right? Because if the lights go out again, you won't have access to clean running water. You won't have access to medicine. You won't have access to food. You won't have access to transportation. You won't have access to energy. All right, and these things are vital, crucial, critical for society to run or survive, right? And people have no knowledge these days too, right? Because there's grocery stores, corner stores, convenience stores everywhere. Walmart's open 24 hours a day. The stores open like this 24 hours a day. Fast food. So people are used to the convenience of just going to get something to eat, or even having food delivered to you. But, when the lights go out and you don't have the option, people don't realize that they don't know how to grow food or forage food. They don't know how to use herbs and for medicine. They don't know how to store food. They don't know how to defend themselves when it comes down to it, right? When push comes to shove, people are going to be killing each other for the smallest piece of bread, man. And this all might kick off with the lights going out. Could terrorists really black out the power grid? If 9 key substations are knocked out, the U.S. could suffer a crippling coast-to-coast blackout for 18 months or more. This was written in 2014. All right. If terrorists are ever able to knock out 9 of the nation's 55,000 substations, so out of 55,000 power substations, so-called terrorists will only have to take down 9 of them. The U.S. power grid could suffer coast-to-coast blackouts lasting 18 months or more, according to leaked excerpts from the FERC report. All right, I think the FERC is federal. Let's see, Slovakia. I'm not gonna. All right, so FERC is the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Federal meaning it's part of the government. The only thing that's federal, not part of the government, is the Federal Reserve. All right. There are 30 substations in the U.S. that play a critical role in the nation's grid operations, the report said. If any 9 of them were taken offline, there could be a widespread blackout for weeks or far longer. So out of the 30 that play a critical role, any 9 of them could go down. But still, that's still 9 out of it's still 9 out of 30, which is 30 less than 30%, a little under the 30%, a little over 30%. No, a little under the 30% Slovakia. But it's still, you have 55,000 of them to deliver power. That's about a little over 10,000 each state to deliver power nationwide. But only 9 of them have to be taken down to knock out power nationwide for 18 months or more. All right. Let's see is this grid vulnerable to terrorist attacks? Let's see, Slovakia. And the answer is yes, but skipping down it says, and it's not just physical attacks. Despite the recent focus on physical security, some say cyber attacks present an even greater threat to the grid. A sophisticated targeted cyber attack could knock out large portions of the U.S. power grid for 9 to 18 months, cybersecurity consultant Joe Weiss told Utility Drive. Such an attack would be irrecoverable, he said. Again, if the power goes out in America for more than 2 weeks, consider America finished, man. All right? Consider America finished. Because people will revert to a beast-like nature, again, for the smallest piece of food, man. And what will happen, and it'll be spiritual, because, again, the second to last plague, before the last plague, basically, was the first Passover, where, the Lord said, I'm going to send a death angel over Egypt, and unless you have my protection, the firstborn is going to die. And it's spiritual now that this news is coming out, again, this news coming out February 28th saying, I don't know why he keeps doing that, saying that Americans are at higher risk of Russian cyber attacks. And they're saying that they can attack also their infrastructure. And it will be a fair thing. Because if you affect the economy where you affect the way people can eat and people live in their homeland, it's only right that you get hit back. If this is war, you created a sanction. War is not just physical. War is psychological with propaganda. War is physical with guns and nuclear weapons. But it's also economical. All right, you shut down, you cripple a nation's economy, and they have every right to hit you back, man. All right, so if Russia swings back in America like this, consider it game over, man. All right, and we jump to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17. I'm not going to read this whole thing. But Wisdom of Solomon 17 and verse 1. For great are thy judgments and cannot be expressed. Therefore unnurtured souls have erred. Alright? The judgments of the Lord are great and terrible, man. Alright? He knows how to fuck people up, alright? Excuse my French, but he knows how to mess people up bad, man. to a T, man, with perfection. All right. This was in Psalm 17:2. For when unrighteous men thought to oppress the holy nation, this is going back to Egypt and the Pharaoh oppressing, the Israelites, the holy nation, the separate nation, the chosen people, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and other ones that may look like other nations but truly descend from Israel, man. All right. For when unrighteous men thought to oppress the holy nation, they being shut up in their houses, the prisoners of darkness, and fettered with the bonds of a long night, lay there exiled from the eternal providence. All right. Prisoners of darkness, man. Why were they prisoners of darkness? Because they couldn't leave. Even if they wanted to leave, they couldn't, man. It was too dark. You could feel the darkness, man. This goes back to Exodus chapter 10. All right. Verse 3. For while they were supposed to lie hid in their secret sins, they were scattered under a dark veil of forgetfulness, being horribly astonished and troubled with strange apparitions. So it wasn't just dark. They were tormented psychologically too, man. All right. We're dealing with the king of terror for a reason, man. For neither might the corner that held them keep them from fear. All right. No matter how dark it was, no matter how you try to hide, you could, curl up in a corner. You couldn't escape fear, man. But noises as of waters falling down sounded about them, and sad visions appeared unto them with heavy countenances. So they were able to see things and hear things, but they couldn't physically see it, man. All right? Or they seen things, but things that weren't really there. Sad visions appeared to them. All right? It's like dreaming with your eyes open, man. You can't control what you see or what you hear in a dream for the most part, but you're awake. Man, this is terrifying, man. This is another reason why you have to serve the Lord, man. Now more than ever, man. Verse 5, no power of the fire might give them light. So even fire couldn't light the darkness. Imagine you light a candle, and it's so dark you light a candle, but the weight of the darkness puts the candle out, man. Or the darkness absorbs the light of the candle, and it just goes out. Man. Neither could the bright flames of the stars endure to lighten that horrible night. Only there appeared unto them a fire kindled of itself. Very dreadful. Man, now imagine it's so dark you just see a fire appear out of nowhere. For being much terrified, they thought the things which they saw to be worse than the things that they saw not. That's the king of terror right there, man. That's the king of terror. All right. But that's how bad it's going to get in America. Because 2nd Esdras 15 stated that the Most High is going to hit Egypt again with the same plagues that he hit Egypt, the original Egypt, with, man. All right. So darkness is the second to last plague. So if darkness comes to America via EMP or cyber attack or whatever, so on and so forth, consider that the second to last plague before the missiles come, man. All right. But of course, that MOTB has to come too. All right. It has to be mandated too. All right. Let me get one more. I'm going to wrap up. Daniel 12:1. At that time, Michael shall stand. Slakia. Daniel 12:1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. All right, if you're not found written in the book, consider your ass toast, man. All right, Lord willing. I'm praying, Lord willing, I'm found written in that book, man. All right. But I'm going to wrap it up with that. You know what? I'm going to read verse 2. Daniel 12:2. And many of them that are asleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. Again, another terrifying scripture. But I'll wrap it up with that. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles, a great millstone that rule well. And peace and salutations to the elect of Israel. Until next time, I want to say shalom and a bottle ball